If you think about it, filling out forms are boring. Instead of filling out these boring forms, what if you could just converse with AI? People struggle automating their things, not because they don't know automation is good. Everyone knows automation is good, but they still don't automate. And the reason they don't automate is because they don't actually have the skills to automate. Creating a prototype is the easiest thing. The hardest part is actually making it production ready for people. I don't think AI is ready in that aspect.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Devico Breakfast Bar. Here we speak with different people involved in the business landscape, share their expertise, delve into the latest tech trends, and explore the ins and outs of IT outsourcing. I'm Oleg Sadikov, and today I'm excited to have Aytekin Tank, founder and CEO of Jotform, flexible no-code form builder for streamlined business processes. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss new episodes. Hi Aytekin, and thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Oleg. Thank you for having me on your show.
Let's start with a little blitz. I start a sentence and you continue, okay?
Okay.
Entrepreneurship gave me
freedom to build my own products and be able to build the products the way I envision it and be able to build great products, and that's what I love.
Entrepreneurship deprived me.
It's been almost 2 decades and I can't think of anything that deprived me.
My main superpower is
I'm really a product guy, and as a founder and CEO, I prefer not to spend my time with administrative stuff, things like that, but just focus on building a great product.
My main weakness is
I don't really like spending time on administrative stuff. As a CEO, you have to do so many things, but I decided that I don't need to do all those things. I need to be a founder. That meant delegate it better, build a better executive team so that they can actually take over all those things that I don't have patience for. So basically, I turned my weakness into power in this case.
One of my friends always say, as the CEO, you have to think about strategy and networking. That's the entire work of a CEO.
Every founder, they have some aspect they are really good at. And I think it makes sense for you to focus on those areas. And because that's why you are successful, because you are really good at some things. And you can always hire people who are good at other things. And then you keep focusing on what you are good at. And that's going to help you continue the growth.
When I'm afraid
I don't know. I'm afraid I don't know.
Could you walk us through the story of founding Jotform? Was there a specific problem or gap in the market?
Before I started Jotform, I graduated from college in the United States, but I grew up in Turkey, and then I graduated from computer science in the US, and then I worked for 5 years for a media company in New York. And one of my duties while I was working for this media company was create these forms for our editors, like contact forms, surveys, questionnaires, payment forms, contests, enter forms. And I hated that. I really hated creating forms. But this was the time around after 2000, we had a big layoffs and our team was shrunk to a very core team. We had to do everything. And that's when I knew that if there was a product that could actually take these things away from me, if there was a product that could automate the building forms, I could actually use that. But I couldn't find a product. At least I couldn't find a good product. And that's when I knew that when I started my company, this could be the product. And that's what I did. I worked there for 5 years. And then I said, this is enough. And I've been growing myself and reading everything I could find about entrepreneurship. When I quit my job, the next day I started working on Jotform, and the rest is history. Because I had that experience building all those forms for our editors, I knew exactly what they needed. And I knew what kind of no-code product they could use to be able to really create their own forms. I actually knew exactly what they needed, and that really helped me build a good product.
If you could go back and give your young yourself one piece of advice before starting Jotform, what would it be?
In the early days of Jotform, it was actually really good. The team was doing really well. The first 5 years, we had a really slow start. And this is a sales product. And sales products actually have this very slow start. But the great thing is if you have low churn, you also have this snowball effect. So it takes a very long time to grow. So for the first 5 years of Jotform, I was growing 1 employee per year. The first year, it was all me. Second year, I hired my first employee. Third year, I hired my second employee. So it's like the first 5 years, I only had 5 employees. But the great thing was we were working as a team together, building the product. We would even go to lunch together and discuss the product all the time. And this team environment, we had this small office, we had this whiteboards, and we had a great environment. We were always discussing like what to do for our customers, and that resulted in a great product. But about like 10 years later, we were still growing slowly. We were around like 15 to 20 employees at that time. I actually lost my way. I gave everyone different tasks. Every employee was working on different projects, and I was kind of like managing them. And something wasn't working well. When I looked back in those early days, when we were like 5-person team, we were so much more productive and we were building such great things. But when people worked by themselves, only single person, single project didn't really work well because it didn't produce good results. And that's when I decided that, okay, I'm going to go back to those days, like small office space, whiteboard, small team, single small cross-functional team working on a single project. And that's what I did. Basically, we were just moving office spaces. I hired an architect and we designed all these like glass rooms with whiteboards. And the rooms could only hold like 6 people. And that meant that I could only give like one project to every team. And then that team kind of had that startup environment that we had. That made a big difference. And that's when trajectory of Jotform started changing and we started growing much faster because all these product teams were actually producing so much better product. And that's when we started growing faster. So if I could go back to the early days, I would tell, don't do that mistake. Don't go assign projects to single people. Work in teams. Today, Jotform is a team of teams. I learned lesson the hard way, and I probably lost like many years because of that. So I know that lesson. And today, Jotform has like 700 employees. Every employee is part of a small team, and most employees actually work on these like small rooms, similar to what we had. They have a single project, single team, cross-functional team. They kind of have the independence to be creative and to come up with new ideas and execute those ideas quickly and then release those ideas to our users.
Your book, Automate Your Busy Work, focuses on productivity and automation. What's your personal automation setup like, and how do you use automation in your daily life?
Before we talk about automation in general, I prefer to have a single focus in my life. For example, in business, even though I'm the founder and CEO, right now, I'm focused on a single project. We have this AI agent projects, and we just released it, and we have been working on a year. And I just had that focus, and just keep at that focus and make sure that our team handles the rest. So the same way that I have that focus, I prefer to have the same in terms of personal productivity. I always have everything disabled, like all notifications are disabled. There's no notifications in my computer. If I want to check the Slack, I will just check it once in a while. If I want to check the emails, I will just check it once in a while. So I have that focus so that when I'm working on something, nothing distracts me. The world is ending, someone is going to call me. I mean, even my phone is on silence, but I will check it as well time to time. I will hear about it, so I don't have to worry about it. But when you have all these notifications, all these like Slack conversations happening, it feels like your whole day is gone and you didn't do anything. So I want to prevent that. So when I start my day, what I do is like I will just launch this. I use the IA Writer product. It's basically an editor for Mac. And the reason I love it is because it can go full screen and just you only have the cursor, right? Nothing else. Like full black screen. I have nice Mac monitor. And on full black screen, just a blinking white cursor. And then I start my day that way and just I start typing, what's the most important thing I can work on today? And sometimes I don't know that. And I will just type whatever comes to my mind. At some point, like if I write like 5 or 10 minutes, I will know like what's the most important thing I should work on. And I focus on that. And sometimes it's not just working by myself, but sometimes working with a team. In those cases, we will have these dedicated like meeting times, 2-hour meetings or 3-hour meetings where we just focus on a single thing, analyzing the data for a product, for example, and then we'll make sure that we do a good job on that. In terms of automation, so once you have that focus, the automation is about that, right? For example, with my emails, I have this personal productivity for system in my emails. It's basically, I have these labels like level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is like the most important things. If our HR manager is asking for something from me and needs my answer, that's going to go to level 1. Level 2 is more like less important conversations. And level 3 is things like newsletters or like reports that I can always look a month later. That doesn't matter. And I check my email once in a while. And when I check my email, I start with level 1. Clean that inbox first. And then I go to the level 2 if I have time. This allows me to not get lost in my emails. Only only look at the most important emails. And how I built this system, like I actually tried all the products. But while I was looking at all these systems, I looked at Gmail. Gmail actually had these filters, labels, everything I needed, right? The filtering system is very powerful. And I now have like thousands of filters. And every time there's something that I need to make sure that an email needs to go to level 1, I'll just create another filter, like just gradually improve the system. So this basic automation, very simple automation, saves me like tremendous amount of time and allows me to focus on what's important.
That's interesting. I've never heard this system, to be honest, before, but good to know. What inspired you to explore AI as an extension of Jotform solution? Except AI hype, of course. I hope it was not the main reason.
So we are a forms product, right? People fill out forms and just people create forms. We have like 30 million users. We host 50 million forms for them. It's all about forms. But if you think about it, filling out forms are boring. Instead of filling out these boring forms, what if you could just converse with AI? Because people are actually now used to talking to AI. My kids, my boys, actually, they're both in elementary school. And when they're working on their homework, they just use like ChatGPT voice mode. And then they will just ask questions. And that's amazing. It's not just my kids. Like people are now used to talking to ChatGPT. This actually means that people can actually just fill out forms by just having the conversation either by voice or talking to chatbot. So that's the product that we started to build like more than a year ago. Something interesting happened. While we were building this product and releasing it to the beta users, we discovered something. Most of our beta users were using it the way we envisioned it. They weren't actually using it to get people to fill out forms. Most of them were actually using it for customer service. They were putting these chatbots on their websites. They were buying phone numbers so that people can call and get information. It turns out that this product was good, but it wasn't good just for filling. It was actually much better for customer service. And that's actually how we came up with the idea for Jotform AI agents. And we pivoted to building this customer service product and we released it exactly a month ago. It's been growing and that turned out to be a great way to use AI because AI has a lot of promise, but most of the things are just promise. AI can write code, right? But the thing is like, how are you going to maintain that code? Or like, even when the best programmers write code, like there's like so many bugs, like you have to maintain it, you have to improve it. Creating a prototype is the easiest thing, right? The hardest part is actually making it like production ready for people. I don't think AI is ready in that aspect. But one area, the LLMs, the AI, the products like ChatGPT, Claude are ready is basically understanding people and responding to people. Because they are really good at speaking. They are really good at listening, understanding, speaking. And because of that, AI is great for customer service right now. And that's what we discovered when we built that product. That's why we focus on that product right now. And it's doing well.
How do you see AI transforming the way businesses interact with customers?
So I was just talking about how my kids are using like ChatGPT voice mode to do their homework. Like just they ask everything. They're playing Nintendo games and they're asking their questions to ChatGPT voice as well. Consumers are actually now used to talking to AI like ChatGPT. When they need to talk to businesses, when they need like general information about anything, they can talk to ChatGPT. And now when I look at our website traffic, I see that Google traffic is going down and then the ChatGPT traffic is going up. Basically, this is the trend. People are actually doing their searches using LLMs. But when they need to talk to businesses, when they need to ask something about an organization, a business, they don't have a way to do it. Like even if they ask ChatGPT has like this 1-year-old information. Maybe with a web search, it can find better information, but it's not really optimized. They cannot really find information. What if they could just talk to a business like they talk to ChatGPT? What if they could just buy products by talking to the ChatGPT, Alexa by Amazon, but basically for everyone, like not just Amazon. What if you had that? I think that's where I'm excited about. Also, we are building with Jotform AI agents to be able to like give people that. I'm sure there's going to be like a lot of products that do this promise, but I think this is going to change the world. 5 years from now, I don't think anybody will Google anything. Most people will not go to websites. Let's say you go to a website for register for an event, right? Instead of doing that, maybe you will just just talk to their AI agents and have a conversation and tell the AI agent what you need. And basically, it's just like talking to a customer representative, but you are talking to AI. I think that's the feature. Conversational AI agents are going to make a big difference. And that's what I'm working on right now.
You noticed an interesting thing. You said that in 5 years, there won't be any Google traffic. There will be only, let's say, ChatGPT traffic. But how do you think Google will react? Because for ChatGPT, you have to get data from Google anyways. They don't have their internal system and infrastructure as Google has. So I don't think that Google will continue blindly and not do anything.
Have you tried the new Gemini new version, the Flash, and now the Pro? So the Gemini 2, Gemini 2.5, they're amazing. They're just much better than all the alternatives, ChatGPT. Even with our Jotform AI agents, we have been using OpenAI because they provided the better performance. And we were just using the Gemini for HIPAA use customers because HIPAA is the healthcare regulation in the US. And for our healthcare users, we were using Gemini because we have the agreement, like business agreement, to be able to use it that way. We didn't have that set up with OpenAI. Because we were using that, we were actually like watching what's happening with the conversations with Gemini. And the new versions actually started getting better and better. And now like they are so much better. So Google is actually aware of what's happening. They know their traffic is going down. They know people are actually using these LLMs for searches. I think Google is right now working really hard to actually beat ChatGPT. Everybody is looking at China and DeepSeek and everything. But actually Google is coming really strong here. And I think Gemini is going to get better and better much faster than ChatGPT and blindside everyone. That's what we are seeing so far. Like in the last weeks, we have seen a tremendous performance improvement for Gemini.
Okay, so users will anyway stay with Google.
Yeah, I think so. People, they're not going to go to, maybe they're not going to go to google.com. Maybe they will go to google.com and still use Gemini.
Yeah, and then once Google sees that, okay, traffic went significantly down, they switch google.com to Gemini. What challenges do companies face in adopting AI-driven automation?
I think this is a general problem about automation. So I wrote a book about automation. People struggle automating their things, not because they don't know automation is good. Everyone knows automation is good. And everyone knows automation provides so much potential, but they still don't automate. And the reason they don't automate is because they don't actually have the skills to automate. So skills and just giving it time, researching all the products available that can actually automate things for you. All those things are like just blocker. People are so busy that they don't have time to learn about automation products that could actually save their time. It's a terrible cycle. Because of that, they don't automate things. So I think the same thing with the AI. And that's why young people are actually better. Young people are better with AI as well. Like they are better with automation in general. They are better in tech anyways, right? And most people will go to someone young and just ask like this high school kid to fix their computer or something, right? They will now ask about AI. And the reason is that they have the time. They have time, they have the energy, they have interest to learn about new things, right? They can learn much more quickly. But businesses are in the same situation. They are just busy. They don't have time to learn. Those initial struggles are like taking so much time. They will have all these problems as well. Like you cannot just change everything and then not have any problems. What's the solution, right? I think the solution is like in the book I talk about this, the automation flywheel is basically thinking about automation as like building a system for yourself. Maybe you're doing things manually right now. You still need to look at it as a system and then you just take small pieces from the system and start automating. And how you do that is about like really understanding your business, your processes. Maybe you need to create these workflow charts, like just put down like whatever you do, just put it down everything, right? Just create this workflow diagram of like this flow chart of how you do business, how you do things. Once you have it on paper, you're going to actually discover so many ways that you can automate things. It's about taking the time. It's about really focusing on that. And I try to give that in my book automate your busy work, like just give that mentality. I describe how to do those workflow diagrams, understand your workflows, and how to research products. You can go to websites like g2.com to learn about all these products that are available to automate things. And this is a great age for like no-code products. In any area, you can find a SaaS product. And in any area, you can find these automation products, and you can start using them. So you need to give yourself some time every week to try different products, learn from them, and start applying them in your business. And once you start making those gains, you will actually start to build more and more automation. So it's a good feedback cycle once you start that. And I also recommend just start automating with the things that you don't enjoy. So if you enjoy something, like don't automate that. If there are things that really take your time, and those things are not just taking your time, but they are actually taking your motivation, your energy, your excitement, just start by automating those things. And when you get rid of them, like you're going to feel so much better. And now you will have motivation to automate more and more things. But if you want to learn more about this, go by Automate Your Busy Work. I talk about this and the automation first principles, and I talk about the automation flywheel in the book.
You have 700 employees. Are there specific regions or countries that you find particularly promising in tech talent?
Because I'm from Turkey, most of our technology team is actually in Turkey. Turkey has a large population, semi-European, semi-Middle Eastern country, but it has really good schools. So far, we had good results. It was actually better in the past because costs were really down in the past. But because of the inflation, the government actually decided to increase the value of Turkish lira. And because of that, now it's actually pretty expensive. But that value versus like cost versus like the high value was better in the past. But I think this is temporary. Because of that, like we were able to grow our team much bigger in Turkey. But now because the Turkish lira gained so much value, we struggle to grow our team. We are not growing the team much now, as much as before. That's all pretty much I know, like just my experience is about Turkey. I haven't had much experience with other countries.
What are your thoughts on IT outsourcing, its advantages and disadvantages?
This applies not just IT, but in terms of outsourcing. And I tried to do outsourcing a lot in the past. And the only way that I found the outsourcing to be successful is if you are actually focused on the outcomes, not just hiring for like small projects, things like that. If you outsource and find a good partner that's going to like take over the whole project, you don't want to give your core projects to outsourcing because your core should be within your team. Your employees should be working on your very core. But when you're actually working on those other aspects, not those projects, that you want to give those projects to like the whole project, and then the agency that you outsource to should be responsible for the outcome, the final result. And I think that's a better approach than try to do a single person or just single project things. Just have long-term. I think that's like looking at this transactional is also a problem. If you build long-term relationships with agencies, both sides actually have good reasons to work harder to achieve success. And that's why I recommend giving the whole projects and then giving them the freedom to provide good solutions and just keep a good communications, obviously. When you do it that way, you can get good results. I prefer relationship building and working with agencies for many, many years.
How do you make decision about what IT functions to keep in-house and which ones to outsource?
It's about the core, right? If it's your core business, you cannot share it with the outside world because when you need to innovate, right? Innovation can only happen from outside, but you really understand your business. You understand your customers. So you want to make sure that you just innovate in your core business and give your best internal teams. And I also not a big supporter of working out of office. I actually prefer working in the office. Like most of our teams actually work in the office. Only some of the teams, like, our sales team, they work alone and they work from home, like just individually. And they all have like commissions and stuff like that to motivate them. Our support team is similar. So in those aspects, like I'm okay with working from home because we have this team environment, teamwork. This means that core innovation should be happening in your office. The team that is in your office is working on these non-core aspects, you don't want that neither. Like you want your team to work on innovating in your core, but all those things that are outside of your core, I think they better fit to outsourcing. Just to give you an example, our marketing team, they San Francisco, they look at the beautiful Bay Bridge and they are amazingly talented. We also need to write content for search engines, right? We need to also do SEO work, right? But we don't want to do those contents. We prefer to give it to agencies. Or we have a video team in San Francisco office and we want to make sure that the video team is actually working on Jotform related videos. And when we need to create these YouTube videos about things that are not really core to our product or to customers, we hire outside agencies to produce those videos. In terms of content, we have found really good success using both in-house and outsourcing. And the great thing about using outside agencies, it's just easier to scale. I decided that we are going to produce 1,000 minutes of YouTube content every month because we were lacking in YouTube. Our small team in San Francisco couldn't produce. Even if we asked them, they would be low quality. But then we were able to hire agencies. They were able to scale this project and they were able to produce so much content for us. And when we did that, we actually gave them the full ownership. We didn't micromanage everything. Of course, we did reviews. They knew what we wanted, but then they got the ball and they were able to take the ball to the goal.
As we wrap up our conversation, what advice would you give to companies considering IT outsourcing but concerned about losing control over their technology projects?
Relationships is important. Obviously, you want to start small and then you want to scale the projects. Make sure that you know what you want. You know what the outcome you want. You don't want to talk about what they need to do, specific, micromanaging them, but what outcomes do you want? If you know what you want and if you can find good partners, that's going to work really better. But you also have to invest in the communication and the relationship. That only happens if you actually invest in the long time horizon. But if you start looking at it with a transactional mindset, you're not going to get good results.
Aytekin, thank you very much. It was amazing conversation. We covered business, product, AI, IT outsourcing, even traffic and Google. I'm sure my audience will find it very useful for them. I really appreciate your time joining me today.
Thank you, Oleg. You had such great questions. I appreciate them. I also had a great time. Thank you very much.
If you enjoy our discussion and want to stay updated on future episodes, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So that way you will not miss out on the latest insights and conversations from the Devico Breakfast Bar. See you in the next episode.